Welcome back to Cayman Conversations. My name is Ralph Lewis, and today we have two more great interviews. During our first interview, Tracy Hargrave, Dean of STEM and Health at UCCI, and Cleveland Julian, Project Manager for ResimBid, will provide an update on the ResimBid project and its new Sustainability Center at UCCI. For our second interview, the Honorable Roy McTaggart, Leader of the Opposition, discusses hot topics on the Progressives agenda. Now let's get started with the UCCI conversation.
My name is Cleveland Julian. For those who are possibly hearing and seeing me for the first time, I am the project manager here at UCCI, and I have responsibilities over the ResimBid project. It's my pleasure to be joined today by my boss and the leader of our team, Dean Tracy Hargrave.
Morning.
Good morning, Ms. Hargrave.
Morning.
And so yeah, we're here, Ralph.
Okay, great. And in our previous conversations, we've been speaking about ResimBid and sustainability, and it's been about 2 years now since this project has been going on. Provide an update for us, please.
Yeah, great. Ralph, I remember the first conversation you and I had when we started talking about this.
Yes.
And we were saying that wouldn't it be really cool if we could have these two grants and then end it with the establishment of something special that will continue on this work that we are starting through ResimBid. And so part of what we're here to share today is really what has happened to that. But let me give you a quick update as far as the grants are going. So the ResimBid 1 grant, of course, as you know, that established the labor market assessment and trained 53 Caymanians across 4 sectors, is in its final stages of reporting to ResimBid. And Paul Puckering and his team were incredibly successful in that venture, in that they delivered as promised the required amount of training to the required amount of Caymanians in the required period. So congratulations to them, obviously. And that really set the tone for what happened with the ResimBid 2 grant that Dean Tracy and I are involved in. This grant is a more physical grant where we are implementing physical changes at our campus. And so it started with a sustainability plan, which I'm happy to report today has been completed. And Dr. Dean Hargrave will share a little bit about that later on. We have installed 150 kilowatt system on Sir Vassal Hall, which, as you know, Ralph, serves as a shelter for during hurricane season. And
Yes.
So it is timely. I have some notes here. I wrote here to myself, our solar project led by the Affordable Solar team literally took us about 2 to 3 weeks to install.
Wow.
But it's taken us over 2 months to get it approved. And so we are still in a conversation where we are pushing to get this approved. And so hopefully somebody who's hearing this might probably pay attention and kind of help us to kind of figure that out.
We'd like to be saving money.
Yes. Listing our opportunities to be saving money
Yes,
here.
we'd like to be saving money.
And so solar project, awesome. But that really wasn't it. We also currently putting 6 inches of insulation in that hall to help manage our energy efficiency. We are replacing 31 windows on our admin building, brand new windows, hurricane resistant. Again, will help us with energy consumption. And we have just awarded a contract for our building management system here to a local company, and they will begin on June 12th. So we are super excited about that. And the crown jewel, as I would say, of our project is this digital library that we are currently writing our RFPs for. So that's kind of where we are currently with ResimBid 1 and ResimBid 2. Dean Tracy, do you want to add anything?
No, I don't think so. I think it's very exciting that we've managed to get the solar. And we would really like to be saving the money from the solar. The sustainability plan has now been finalized. There was consensus on the sustainability plan from all the stakeholders. So that we had a strategic planning session and there was consensus on that. We added SDG 9 for supporting innovation and business. So our sustainability plan is good to go. I think that will be rolled out very soon. And again, yes, a very exciting digital library project will soon be up and running with any luck.
Okay,
That's
great.
our final push.
Okay, all right. If you don't mind, folks, I'd like to have a little conversation here. I believe in execution, and I remember when we started out 2 years ago. Actually, I was in Cayman. I don't remember that. And and I always said, we always started something, but we never finished. And I would love to see it come to fruition. And here we are today talking about the completion of these projects, Resembid 1, Resembid 2, establishing this project on the campus and seeing it all almost ready to go live, just waiting on the approval of the authorities. And I think after hearing this conversation, they may just put some fire under the bricks. But it's always good to see projects come to fruition. And Paul, what benefits will that do now? How will it benefit, UCCI or the country with what we've done in the last 2 years?
Obviously, we'll be able to put the money back into the money that we save with the solar. We'll be able to go back into teaching initiatives through the digital library. We hope to have various educational resources available. There are many projects that we can start, and we're hoping to raise more funds, to be honest. We hope to get into recycling, glass recycling. We hope to have collaborations with various external agencies and get the students involved with the recycling issues, various different, all through the curriculum. We hope to put sustainability through the curriculum. So we're hoping to get another grant in order to train faculty in embedding sustainability initiatives throughout the curriculum.
Okay, and thank you very much. Okay, the Sustainability Center. Can you give us a little overview of what it's about?
Mr. Cleveland, would you like to?
Absolutely. And so, Ralph, you and I started talking about the center 2 years ago, right? And talked about what would it mean for us to have a hub by which we can drive initiatives like Resembid, that for us has always been the spark, right? Has always been the catalyst. It was never meant to be the all and be all. It was always meant to be the thing that allows us to develop this framework now that we have of our own, so we can push other sustainability initiatives through. And so the center has been named and agreed upon by all relevant stakeholders. And so the Center for Biodiversity, Innovation, and Sustainability will be launched on September 26th and 27th as part of a larger regional symposium that will involve both international and regional speakers and a series of workshops that we'll be conducting here on island. The targeted audience for that, obviously, all our local partners in business and in government and concerned citizens who have an interest like us in what the future of Cayman looks like.
Yes. Very, very interesting. And has there been buy-in from any of the agencies already? Have you been having discussions and seen their anticipation of this event?
Yeah, go ahead, Dean Tracy.
Well, I was going to say we did have the strategic planning session where we invited various external partners. We've had quite a lot of buy-in from the ministries. People seem very interested in what is going on at UCCI at the moment. They do.
Okay. To add to what Dean Tracy is saying, in addition to the strategic planning session, we also conducted a number of workshops when we were developing our own strategic plan. And so the strategic plan is really a great representation of external partners from government, from all sectors. We had about 50 people in attendance on each day, and our internal staff and faculty here at UCCI and students. And so we all came together and joined our ideas and interests. And what came out of this is what you will see as our sustainability plan. It really does have buy-in across government, industry, faculty, staff, and our student body. And that, I think, is the real achievement thus far.
Yeah.
Tracy, if I can ask you this question, there has been a focus on sustainability, and we've had the Resembid grants. the UCCI is its major focus should be on education. Do you think that our focus has been shifted to sustainability, or is the development of sustainability part of the parcel of education and UCCI?
Absolutely. Sustainability is part of everything at UCCI. We hope in moving forward, we're hoping to embed sustainability in everything we do. So we do teach specific courses in sustainability. We have specific sustainability courses that students can take either as an elective or as part of their degree plan. But we're aiming to embed sustainability into all of our programs. So through the business programs, obviously through sciences, maybe even arts and humanities could be doing case studies in sustainability. We're hoping to make it across the curriculum for all students, as it's a very important project to be taken up at the moment.
Okay, very good. Is there anything else happening at UCCI that we should be aware about at this time?
Well, there is the STEM camp. There's a STEM camp in Grand Cayman from July the 8th to the 12th, which I think has only a very few number of places left if anybody would like to sign up. So you need to be quick for the Grand Cayman camp. So that's the 8th to the 12th of July. You need to go online to the UCCI website. If you're in Cayman Brac, however, I think there are more places in the Cayman Brac camp. So that's July the 2nd to the 4th. The Brac camp is being sponsored by the Ministry of Education. Still a few spaces left. The Grand Cayman camp is sponsored by Enterprise Cayman. You can find all details on the UCCI website. Students at both camps will get a fantastic experience. It includes science experiments, drones, 3D printing, various other STEM activities every day.
Yes, and I encourage all the listeners and viewers to please be a part of this. I think last year they were sold out before,
We were sold out before we got on the radio.
Yes, and we even spoke about expanding. Have you made arrangements to have more students attend this year?
Yeah.
We have a few more places, but then we also have the Brac camp this year.
Okay.
For additional places on the Brac. Yeah, so there are a few more places in Grand Cayman, and there's the Brac camp.
Excellent, very good.
Which is why we've got a few places left, I think, still.
Okay, very good. Mr. Julian?
No, I was just going to say, the Resembed program has from the very beginning had an aligned interest with the STEM camp. And so for the second year running, we'll be sponsoring a maximum of 10 students. We provide scholarships for them to attend. And those typically go very fast, as well. And it has been a beautiful partnership for us because we have literally been able to take a lot of the high level conversations that we are having as a Resembed team and really figure out how do you educate and influence and begin to get younger people excited about this. And we saw them pretty excited about the robotics and the energy auditing, at their own home. So yeah, so the Resembed team is really excited to be part of the STEM camp this summer.
Okay. I hope to hop over to the Brac with you folks and to see how the take up is, because that's one thing I'm very, very interested to see is how this is passing through our society. And we're spending a few minutes talking about these wonderful programs, but we want to see it permeate through society and develop as a major component of how we think and how we learn. And this is where I see UCCI's role in the community really growing, because I'm seeing these new projects that I never even thought of just blossoming and growing from strength to strength. And how is the government's participation in this? Is it just UCCI on its own doing its own thing, or is the government involved?
We tend to work closely with the Ministry of Sustainability on the projects because they have their own Resembed grant. So we tend to collaborate with the Ministry of Sustainability. Obviously, the Ministry of Education sponsors some of the camps that we run and things.
Okay.
So yes, there is ministry buy-in for our efforts.
Okay, great. And Mr. Julian, what's next for you? You're always speaking about plans for the next 2 years. What's next for you?
Well, listen, if the UCCI team is able to execute successfully on the launch of this project in September, meaning
Yes.
the establishment of a center, well, then this begins a whole new chapter in
Okay.
what it looks like to serve our community, specifically in this area. You ask about interest from government and external stakeholders. We believe that people will take notice when you seem to be doing something novel or
Yes.
interesting, but they will get vested when they begin to have a felt impact from it. So we understand that in the beginning, we just need to put our heads down and get to the point where we're not just delivering tangible results for UCCI. Now this begins to spill over into our local communities as well. So, for example, the establishment of this center in collaboration with the business department, I want to be sure we mention that because Dr. Blissett and her team they have been incredible partners here. And so it will have a innovation hub that will launch green startups here in Cayman. And so now this becomes a way for us to attract external funding to help support local businesses and hopefully expand or impact our local communities. That Ralph, I think, is a journey that would take us, for the next 2 years plus.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
more than 2 years. That's we're hoping.
And you made a great point, and I've had experience where investors who are interested in helping our community grow made the comments that they don't see enough buy-in, and they have to develop some level of trust in the projects that are being executed. And I
Yes.
think when we started talking about resin bid, that there was a program where you had to demonstrate that the funds that were given were used
Yes.
and were being implemented. And so, can you just speak to how important, like just remind us how important
Yes. Yes.
this is to get buy-in from other local participants?
Yeah, this is the thing that I think if anything kept us up at night is probably this, right? Because we understood that we were coming into a challenge environment, that the perception around how we work and how we get things done might not have been always favorable. We understood that. And so we got to work with these grants and delivered as promised to our grantors, Rizenbid. So now we have a demonstrated track record of actually getting things done, real, tangible, impactful things. And
Yes.
so with that, we're hoping that the level of anxiety people might have or questioning now becomes a little less, and they can now begin to pay attention. And now we get to say, if we're able to achieve this with this amount of resources, what do you think? And this amount of collaboration and support, what do you think is possible if the entire community, government, and business begins to rally around these initiatives? And so we are hoping that with the launch of this center, we're able to do exactly that. We're able to demonstrate that we not only can we handle Rezimbit's funds responsibly and be trusted to do so, but we can also be trusted to handle the investments in time, in interest, in manpower that the Caymanian government, outside partners, businesses, and community would want to make in this initiative. Because at the end of the day, this is our legacy. This is our future. And so if we don't take ownership of it, nobody else will. And so as a university team, we understand that this is a space for us to lead, and we're not backing down.
I think we have learned over the period as well to get better and better at the monitoring and evaluation, because it's something that you do need. We've realized that you do need the monitoring and evaluation of your project from the very, very beginning.
Yes.
So we have learned as we've gone on to get better at that sort of thing.
Yes, and I totally agree. There's always results that are required. We need to see that way something has been done.
Results,
But I want to applaud Tracy, Cleveland, Paul, the whole team, even Tamsin, for all the communication and the work, because it takes a team to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And I was thankful to be part of that team, being a media platform, because we have to get information out. And from my results and my feedback, a lot of people have been talking about it, they've read about it, and it is good that the word is getting out. But our journey doesn't stop here.
No,
we're just starting, and I look forward to being part of this team to take this to the next level and the levels. And so I would welcome you back. Any opportunity you have, just give me a call, because we have to keep letting the community know what you're doing.
Mhm,
You can be
mhm.
doing everything, but if they don't know, and so by using the media platforms is a great way of letting everyone know. Like Paul, you said, not Cleveland, you said, I know we get by, people believing us, but they have to know it's been done. And so this is
Yes.
my part, my role to get the information out there. Any final words?
So just before Dean Tracy speaks and have the final word, I want to make a quick plug for our energy audit course, which, public education and engagement is a big part of what we're trying to do here. And so you might have seen our ads and campaigns, but on the 23rd and 30th of this month, 2 Sundays, we're going to be offering an energy audit course for homeowners. And that's really the only qualification to be a homeowner. And it will be a 2-day course that will end with a certification, and you will get an incentive prize if you go home, complete your audit, and come back. And so this for us is a test pilot of a course we hope to offer in the future, but we're looking forward to have a significant amount of people to participate here.
Okay, just give me the name of that course again, please.
It's a home owners energy audit course.
Okay.
It's a 2-day, 14-hour program.
Excellent. And home audit. You should have a lot of homes that need that, and especially with the utility bills increasing.
Oh, yes.
It's so important. I mean, it's just going to keep going higher. It's going to go. So so would that course include renewable energies and so on?
Well, the great thing about it, we're doing this in partnerships with the Ministry of Education, understanding that they have a program where they have focused homeowners on utilization of renewable energy. So that wouldn't be the exclusive focus for us. It's really having them start where they are to begin thinking about changes that they can make in their homes, simple ones, not too costly, that could actually help them to not just reduce their energy bill, but hopefully reduce their carbon footprint.
Excellent. That's a great plan. I hope you sign up too. Tracy, any final words?
I just encourage people to take part in how they can. If anybody would like to take part in the projects that we have going on, please contact me at UCCI. If anybody's in a position to be a partner with us, please contact us. There are many exciting things going on at UCCI at the moment in the field of sustainability. So if you have an interest in that and would like to get involved, please contact us.
Okay. And I really want to thank UCCI for, getting in touch with me and keeping me up to date on what's happening over there. Do you guys take vacation and vacation time? Because now we're having summer classes. When do you take a break? There
are classes going on through the summer this year. We have a second summer semester, so there are people teaching all through the summer. So if anybody would like to take part in that, so you take advantage of the second summer semester to get a course in, then that's an opportunity now. But yes, I will be on holiday.
Okay, well, that's good. That we are always working, and UCCI is always open there to help in many ways, not only just education, but to sort of set the stage for sustainability and so on. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate you.
We thank Tracy and Cleveland for the invaluable contribution and look forward to further discussions. After the song from our talented Caymanian artists, we'll discuss politics with Mr. Roy McTaggart.
Red light.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Cayman Conversations. Mr. Roy, and how are you today?
I'm very well, Ralph. I'm delighted to be with you on your program.
Yes, it's a new year since we've had our conversation, and Cayman Conversations is being ramped up to talk with individuals and important people. And of course, as the leader of the opposition, it's important that we hear from you on a regular basis.
Sure.
And so we're going to touch on a number of topics today. And the first one I want to start off with is you're getting ready for the next parliamentary meeting. Can you just give us an idea of what items will be tabled by the opposition?
Sure. Thank you for asking me that question. We're going to be in Parliament on the 24th, and I'm happy that we're getting back into Parliament, because I think thus far for the calendar year, I think we only spent like 2.5, 3 days in Parliament. So, the opposition really has not been able to get any of its business done because of the real infrequency of which Parliament has been meeting. So I'm really glad that we are going back there in June. And for us, there are two main avenues of items of business that we are able to bring before the House. And we're talking about parliamentary questions and also private members' motions. Now, we are I think we're going to have a fairly large number of parliamentary questions submitted to Parliament for the government to answer. Of course, you are always constrained by the fact whether they are prepared to answer the questions or whether they get questions, written answers prepared and sent down to Parliament in time.
Yes.
There is a process when they don't get to answer the questions in Parliament and face supplementary questions. They are required under standing orders to give a response within 2 weeks, a written response within 2 weeks of the end of Parliament. And quite often that just does not happen all the time. So a number of questions just don't get aired. So we end up, having to bring them back and ask them again.
And actually, Mr. Roy, I just saw this is cut. That was one of my questions. I was going to ask, do you get that kind of response to the questions that you put there? Do you get a chance to table them, or, like you said, are they pushed back over time?
Yeah, I mean, they don't. Sometimes they just don't send the answers down to the Parliament, and in the occasions, Ralph, when we do get questions answered, outside of the Parliament, we have been taking them and publishing them so that the public can see what we have asked and what the government is saying, and then form their own opinions with regard to it. The only thing is you just never have an opportunity to ask supplementary questions. And quite often can often be the most important part of the whole question and answer session in the House. It's what else you get answers to when you ask a question. So yes, that's normally the process.
Okay. Well, let's hope that we'll have some answers this time around.
Well, I hope so, because we are going to have a fair number of them. Ralph, I'll just give you an indication. These are all issues we have been banging on basically for a few years now, that just seem really to be going nowhere with the government. Minimum wage report, it just seems to be languishing. And government have had a report now probably nigh on to 9-10 months. And it's just that they've just not made a decision about it and what they are going to do. And I understand that the real problem is they just can't agree on it, whether to implement or to amend and implement. So when that happens, literally nothing gets done. So we are going to try to light a little bit of a fire and try to get some answers and prompt some movement, because I'll be honest with you, Ralph, I get questions almost daily from people I meet about it, who are so looking forward to having an increase in the minimum wage. And these are all people at, working in jobs where the pay is the minimum wage. Mental health facility. It's another one that is languishing. When we demitted office, the facility was well underway in terms of its construction. That construction, as far as I know, is now finished. I know it's finished, and but it's just languishing. There's no real effort that I can see on the government's part to get the facility open, fully staffed and opened. And we're going to ask questions about it and try to understand why it continues to languish. I mean, we had government, as far as I know, has not taken possession of it, and it's just just no real movement that anyone can see with regard to the facility. And I think it's so important for us to get that thing done, because there is a huge need for it, and a great desire, I think, certainly was on our part, to see Caymanians who are at overseas institutions be able to come back home and be amongst their families, rather than stuck in a foreign country. Regen contract is another one, Ralph. It's going nowhere, as far as I'm concerned. Government's not going to sign an agreement before the elections, so it's going to be another year or two before anything can really come and be concluded. Meantime, the landfill continues to fill, and I think it was in the last sitting that the minister. A comment was made by the minister that we may have to look at some alternatives, such as another, land site for a landfill. And God forbid that we ever have to get to that point, Ralph. It's not what the country wants. It's not what the country needs. It's not the right solution.
And yes, in a few words, Mr. Roy, how serious is this problem with the dump or the landfill? I remember everyone was very excited a few years ago when we were actually going to start doing some work on it.
Yes.
But as you mentioned, it's very close to the end of this term, and it doesn't seem as if it's going to happen for another year or 2 years. And that is, in my mind, that sounds serious. How really serious is the landfill? Can it hang around for another 3 to 4 years?
It's anybody's guess at this point. It just depends on how much more can be held inside the landfill, Ralph. We've got to find a way to, where are we going to look at that mound now that has arisen over the last 2 years since, DART took possession of the old mound and have capped it and everything else. I mean, that thing is, I traverse that area every day of the week, and I see it just continue to grow and to mushroom. That area was to have been a place where an engineered landfill was to be located to receive the ash and stuff that would come off from the waste to energy plant. But if that landfill if that area is being taken up and used just for ordinary, regular garbage and stuff that's going into the landfill, then somewhere else is going to have to be found to have an small engineered landfill to receive that garbage. It is hugely important for Cayman. Okay. It's the single largest issue we face in terms of dealing with environmental issues that the country has. If we could get this dealt with and over, then I think, it would be a huge relief to everyone. Regrettably, though, and unfortunate, everybody was cursing us during our terms, when we kept having all of these fires at the landfill. Happily, that's no longer the case, but we did have one, just a couple of weeks ago. There was an open fire at the landfill. So the danger still exists, even, with what's there. Danger still exists. And I just feel we need to get on with it and get it done. The longer we wait, the costs continue to rise. Yes. And we still don't know what's caused the price of it that the former premier mentioned, and the former minister of finance talked about it. Anywhere between $1.5 billion to $2 billion were figures that were being thrown around with no explanation or support for it. So we don't understand how we get there, and the public, I think, would want to know that.
Yes. Well, I look forward to a response in this meeting because, as you agreed, it's very important. And with a new Minister of Sustainability, well, let's just hope that there's a response that everybody will be happy with in the next meeting.
Well, I hope so. The Cayman Airways Barbados route, I have questions to ask on that,
Yes.
and how that transpired and got, to where it was, because
Yes.
I don't, they say they have this guarantee from Barbados Tourism Entity, but at the end of the day, Ralph, I don't care what they say, what the percentage is in terms of the guarantee. There are going to be costs that Cayman Airways has to absorb, and we would like to know what those are and sort of indication as to the amounts, and see if we can understand
Yes.
what it is, what is the nature of the guarantee, and the amounts that they have guaranteed, because those things can turn into financial disaster. And I can't help but believe that with Barbados stepping up and saying, look, we need to cancel this contract, but there were issues there that of a financial nature that were creeping in.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So that's just some of the big issue questions that we are going to raise, and we've got questions on education,
Yes.
and government finances, that sort of stuff. But those are the big issues that we've been hammering on now for the better part of the 3 years. We've been more than 3 years actually with them, and just seemingly never seem to be getting anywhere. So I'd like to hear from them definitively. Are they going to sign a contract on Regen before the end of their term? If that's not going to be the case, then tell the country and say, what are your plans? The divisions within them still exist. And I think that's really where they are struggling with to get consensus and agreement for a number of these big projects.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to having you back on the Cayman Conversation after the parliamentary meeting. Maybe you can give some more response as to what was actually said and where we are, because I think this is one of the roles of the media. We are here to get information from, of course, the opposition, and get information from the government, and at the end of it, let's have another conversation as what has been achieved. Because yes, you have some very important questions, but you need answers.
Yes.
And if you don't have answers, who's going to hold them accountable to give the answers? Something has to be said. Instead of, as you mentioned, it takes so long to get to the answers, then the term has passed. So this is something where I see media playing a role in not trying to say what is happening, but asking the questions from the right people and to get some feedback. And hopefully that would happen after the next meeting.
I hope so. And I'm happy to come back on.
Very good. Well, the big talk in town is about the electricity company and the press release that was sent out recently, and of course the response from Off-Reg, and that has been been discussed, and we published all those. Can you provide some feedback on how you feel this has been handled at this stage?
Well, a bit of I don't know how to respond to this one, to be honest with you, Ralph. I'm not respond to it, but it looks to me it's unfortunate. I think the way this has unfolded, because what I recall was, CUC said, "Look, hey, we may need to do some of this load shedding in this summer." It didn't say they were. I don't think it said definitively we are going to have to load shed. It was a bit of a forewarning or a forearming people that this could occur. That's the way I read it. That's the way I took it. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit unfortunate. This thing has come down to a bit of he said, she said, between CUC and Off-Reg. And I find that unfortunate, because what it tells me is that Off-Reg and CUC are not on the same page here. And this sort of thing, I think really what needs to happen is for Off-Reg and CUC to sit down and hammer these things out. between themselves and come to some agreement with regard to whatever the issues are.
Yes.
I do know that that CUC have a number of spare generators, small generators that they have leased in. I saw them because I had a tour of the facility about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And, so sort of as a backup if it becomes necessary. But, that too can be more expensive than having a proper generator there ready to do stuff. They've also are doing, have application, and I think for approval for some storage capacity so that they can store energy from, in the daytime and from the solar cells and stuff, solar panels and stuff that is fed into the grid, and allow that to be used at night. So it's I think they are making progress along those in dealing with those things and implementing alternative energies, and whatever the disagreements are, OFREG, CUC, sit down, hammer it out, and let's move on.
And I support that direction as well, because for more feedback from the public, no one's sure what's happening, whether it's going to be cut off, it's not going to cut off, will it be, and so I think there needs to be some clarity. And from what I heard from Mr. Hugh, that that there'll be conversations with us OFREG to try and clear this up, because the public needs to know exactly what's going to happen so we can prepare. Yeah, and that's important. I need to know whether I'm going to have to look at scheduling my work at certain times of day, and if so, I need to get at least 6 months notice so I can really plan. So if that's going to happen, let's know what's going to happen. Yes, it's good to give us a warning that it may happen, but it seems like there's some overlapping confusion in how the information get out.
No, very, very good point, Ralph. And a lot of this can just be solved by just sitting down across the table from each other and hammering it out and discussing things.
Yes. Okay. Well, Mr. Roy, my next question is very dear to my heart, and I'm sure to yours.
Yes, sir.
Finances. And I look at finances very carefully. I had a background. I had a career in banking. And, when I retired, I tried to do some financial counseling and so on. And, and it's so important that we have to manage our finances as human beings.
Absolutely.
And more so, the government. And as the Minister of Finance in the previous government, I'm sure you have some concerns that I heard you mention recently. Could you just elaborate on the concerns that you have?
Well, I was concerned. I'm concerned, really, particularly with the level of spending that this government have approval for, and we have already seen, them using what I would call the Section 11.5 of the PMF, Public Management and Finance Act is the word I'm looking for, to approve supplementary expenditure, and significant amounts, particularly I think it was in tertiary healthcare. That particular spend was not budgeted at anywhere near where it needed to be set at for the year. And it would appear that they had already exhausted what was approved because they had to fund more. Then, you have all of their spending, because it was and is an election year budget, and there are all sorts of numbers of projects that they seem to be committed to doing. And getting done before the elections. The question as to whether it can all be accomplished. A lot of effort being made to deal with parks, put one in Bodden Town, and that sort of stuff. So they have a lot of expenditure approved leading up to the elections, and that has always been a concern for us, because you can only do so much, Ralph. And we are very fortunate that government revenues on the face of it, continue to be very robust. And I think if you take a look at the quarterly financial statements, you will see that it pretty much follows the same pattern you see every first quarter of every year, in that you see a very significant amount of government revenues that are collected in the first 3 months of the year, primarily from financial services. And that comes through very clearly in the first quarter results that they published a couple of weeks ago. So they've ended up the first quarter with a very substantial surplus, a record by any measure. And it seems to me that the revenues are continuing to trend. I mean, they've exceeded the budgeted revenues by by I think it's about 5%. And it looks to me like they have collected, at the end of March, they had collected, the amount of revenue they had collected was pretty much approaching 50% of what is budgeted for the entire year. And that is very healthy. So they are flush with cash right now.
All right.
And God knows what they're going to do with it now in terms of spending for in the months leading up to elections. But you hear, and they're announcing things from time to time of what they are doing, and it all requires money. We've got this new school in Nebraska, $50 million. So they've got the amount of money is that they have right now is quite healthy. They have not borrowed money at this point in time. And it seems to me that there is no need for it anytime soon because of the healthy balances that they do have. But it's an issue that we are watching because they have approval to, over the next 2 years, to go and borrow. I think it's up to $140 million.
Okay.
And I'm really concerned about that, because that just raises your debt and the repayment, the capital cost of the cost of repaying that. And especially now that you're in a high interest rate environment, the actual cost is going to be substantial to be able to do that.
Yes. Leading up to an election, from my memory, there's a particular time that you have to stop any major projects or any major expenses. Is that 6 months before elections?
Go ahead.
Or is there a specific time, or there isn't any?
Yeah, there isn't any specific time that I am aware of. This came in for the first time. It's called a PERDA in the UK. And that's what happens in the UK leading up to an election, is that 2 to 3 months before, then it's pencils down from the with regard to the elected government, and the civil service then things continue, but new projects, new spending, that sort of stuff awaits the outcome of an election. And what we found when I remember with previous Governor Roper, he raised it with us, and where we were at the time was there was so much ongoing that instead of being out on the campaign trail, we were always being called into cabinet to make policy decisions and stuff to assist the civil service during that time period. But because it was the first time that this idea of a PERDA ever came up that I can remember, certainly in the previous two governments of which I was a part, that was that had not raised its head. But it did, and it seems as if that I'm understanding that will go forward again this year, and that there'll come a time when they will put pencils down and await the outcome of the election.
Okay, well, we look forward to see what will happen, because it's not too far away. And just thinking about not too far away, my last question for you, Mr. Roy, is about your party. We are about to get into the UK elections. I think it's about maybe a couple of days from now. And then in a couple of months, we are into the US elections. And then in about maybe 5 months after that, it should be the Cayman elections. As leader of the opposition and the government in waiting, in our last conversation, I asked if you were putting together a team to prepare your team for the next elections. So where are you with those plans? And if you can give me any indication as to what's the Progressive's planning for the next elections.
Yeah. Well, I can share with you as much as I'm able to, Ralph. But
Yes,
yes,
of course.
we have turned our attention now fairly and squarely on April 2025, which is when we anticipate that the elections will take place. And so we are now trying to ramp up the Progressives machinery, and a lot of things happening in the background,
Okay.
and preliminary decisions being made and plans being put in place. It's still relatively early days in terms of elections, but although I say it's relatively early, it still is upon us
Yes.
in terms of the time that's left, with about 10, 11 months, to go. So we are making plans, and we are trying now to execute and put the resources in place that we will need in order to successfully contest the elections. You are right; we are the government in waiting, and we are looking forward to that election next year. My intention, I mean, we do have a process that we have to go through
Yes.
in terms of the election of who will run on a PPM ticket. But
Yes.
I intend to be the political leader, subject to approval from the party in this next election.
Okay.
And ideally, but these are just my thoughts here.
Yes, of course, definitely.
I would like to contest at least 15 seats in the House. That would give us that would potentially give us a very comfortable majority and allow us to govern effectively.
Yes.
I am firmly of the view that you don't want a ruling government does not want too many seats. You want, because you need a strong opposition. They're such a vital part of the Westminster model that we operate on.
Yes.
That you want an effective and strong opposition to help keep the government in check.
Yes, and you now have, I think, 6 members in Parliament,
Yes,
and have identified, or are you working on identifying individuals for the other 10 or 9? Because that's a huge number. That's a huge number to fill.
That is part of what's going on at this point in time.
Okay.
Is talk to people, looking at who might be appropriate that we could work with, and make overtures to them to see if there's potential for them joining a Progressives government.
Yes. Do you have an idea, or when is a good time, do you think, for a party to let the country know who will be contesting the different seats in different departments, in sections, in areas? Because as a voter, I would like to know in time, at least 3 months or 4 months before, who are going to be competing in my district, so I could start to listen to what the messages are, find out the affiliations and so on. And so when do you think is a good time for a party to start to give that information to the community that this is our team?
Yeah, and I think that time frame that you mentioned there just now is perfect, is reasonable, and so we have to have a party conference in order to get our candidates approved. I would anticipate, this is my thinking, that we would likely seek to achieve that before the end of the year. So you go into the new year, into the campaign season with your team in place, and you can effectively start to campaign at that point in time. I would expect that come September, October timeframe, you will see people starting to declare their intentions to be done. So that's when I anticipate that people will start to come out of and declare their intentions. One thing become clear to me, though, Ralph, is that I do believe, and we've seen enough of it now to know that people have had enough of this government of independence. And I've heard people now that are part of that and who contested as independents now acknowledging the only way to be is a part of a team or a part of a party in order to get things done. This foolishness that we've had here over the last more than 3 years has done nobody any good. And government and the country has languished and hurt because of it. And I hope the country is over that. I hear the murmurings, and I hope that that's what people will come to realize, that yes, there's a place for an independent, but not a government of independence, because what you get are 11, 12 different governments, because nobody can agree on anything. And we've seen that play out time and time again over the last 3 years. It's not healthy.
And on that note, have you heard of any other parties or any other groupings that are in the works that plan to come together as a team, as I mentioned, to contest elections?
I have heard a lot of chatter, Ralph, but nothing of any firm nature at this point. If what I hear is true, there could be at least 3 parties or teams contesting the election in 2025. I've heard of some of the current government members coming together and forming a party. And I've heard of others as well. You know, I won't start calling names.
Not yet.
That's my place to do. So let them declare when they're ready. But yes, there are. I think you're going to see, I'm hopeful that we will see a different landscape in the next election, rather than, 30 or 45 different, independents, that we'll have more of the party structure. Because you have to realize too, is that our Constitution was written in anticipation and contemplates a party system in its politics. And that's what works best.
Yes. And on that note, that was one of my concerns. Yes, we agree. I agree as well that the party system works best. But if there's no parties when the time comes, but the progressives, we're back to the square one again.
Yeah,
so
honestly, Rob, that is a risk, and I hope it doesn't materialize.
Yeah,
I really do, because I don't think the country can take another 4 years of what we've had to endure.
So I encourage, as a media owner, any groupings, any parties that are out there, please start letting us know here with media platforms what's happening, because we agree, I think many people agree, that there needs to be a grouping or a set of people with one common goal, putting their platform or their manifesto forward to get the best results. And so therefore we need to know early where those groupings are or affiliations are. I remember doing some templates before, and we had them who was affiliated with what. And I would like to get us information early so we can start educating the public, okay, who is with who. And so early, by December at least, because as we get into January, February, March, time goes so for just 12 weeks before elections. So it's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And in your final note, so how strong do you see the progressives in their preparations for the next elections?
Well, I think, I am working to achieve and to give the country a very viable, strong, viable team or slate of candidates to elect us. And I think, I just hold stick a pencil right there, and we'll see what we come out with later on in the year, and when we are at a point where we can announce candidates. But I'm working diligently, and so are other members of the party working diligently with me to accomplish this.
Well, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, Mr. Roy, and thank you for taking the time out to sit with me for this half hour. And hopefully you'll come back after the parliamentary meeting and update us on what you've achieved from your questions. Thank you very much.
All right.
Regards to the team.
Very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
We hope you enjoyed our program today and invite you to join us next Sunday for another Cayman Conversation. Remember to like, share, and follow and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube pages, and also pick up copies of the Caymanian Times newspaper on Wednesday and Friday at locations across the islands. Cayman Conversations is a production of the Caymanian Times newspaper. Have a great evening. And now here's an important hurricane preparedness message from Her Excellency the Governor and Premier Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly.
Hello everyone. Once again, the Atlantic hurricane season is upon us. This means that, as happens every year between June the 1st to November the 30th, the islands in our region are at increased risk of storms and hurricanes. Forecasters have warned us to brace for a very active season, with 23 named storms, 11 expected to become hurricanes, and 5 that could reach major hurricane status. As you all know very well, the best way to be ready for a potential storm or hurricane is for us to prepare both individually and collectively. So now is the time for us to stock up on emergency supplies and to make a plan for our homes, families and businesses. We should all consider carefully our emergency plans and how they relate to sheltering in advance of a hurricane approaching. As you know, the Cayman Islands are low-lying, and so it's important to bear in mind that storm surge is not just a coastal threat. Throughout the season, we encourage you to stay tuned to our official government channels, www.gov.ky Hazard Management's Cayman Islands Government, at www.caymanprepared.ky, and our Facebook page, and Radio Cayman. They all provide accurate information and timely updates when our islands are threatened by a storm. And if you've not already done so, please do download the free National Emergency System, NENS, mobile app. This allows hazard management to send emergency alerts straight to you via email, SMS text, or both. You can log on to ens.gov.ky today. And finally, during the approaching hurricane season, let us look out for our elderly and our vulnerable neighbours. Ensure that our seniors have adequate food and hurricane supplies. Designate a family member or friend to check on their well-being. Importantly, we can also assist our seniors or those less able to use smartphones, helping them to register with NEMS in order to receive important alerts and updates. We will get through the hurricane season best if we all work together. So let us be prepared.
First, let me start by thanking our Heavenly Father for His continued grace and mercy on our islands as we prepare for the start of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, which has been predicted to be a near record active season. While our islands have been spared serious catastrophe in the past few years, we are reminded this year, on this, the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Ivan, of the devastating impact of hurricane that they can have on our islands. These memories remind us that as a nation vulnerable to climate challenges and unpredictable disasters, we assume collective responsibility for our safety. Our ability to withstand the onslaught of a hurricane as a nation is related to the responsibility taken by every single person, every family, every business, and every community. I want to therefore implore everyone across our islands to start taking necessary precautions and preparations to ensure the safety and security of yourselves, your families, and properties. The government, through the National Weather Service and Hazard Management, is actively working to strengthen our preparedness, response, and recovery mechanisms to ensure swift and effective action in time of crisis. Just last week, I announced that our Doppler radar system is now fully operational and resume active service. This reflects our commitment to ensuring the safety and preparedness during the hurricane season. And to further strengthen our capacity, the HMCI will expand the number of spaces available at our emergency shelters by adding over 2,500 spaces at the new John Gray High School and a further 500 at the Bordentown Church of God. In addition, they will also have necessary mental health support for persons relocated at the said shelters. I would like to thank the many shelter volunteers who work assiduously to ensure that these essential facilities are safe spaces during times of emergencies.
In government, Premier and I are working together along with our uniformed services, hazard management and the UK, including the reassuring presence of the Royal Navy ship in the region, so that we are ready and prepared to respond as needed.
There is no way to predict what this hurricane season may bring, but we do know that together we can be ready. Let us then all pray that Almighty God will continue to stretch His protective hands over our beloved nation, the Cayman Islands. May God bless you. May God bless our islands.